Yeah, so feel free to close your eyes, take a deep breath, and simply be with yourself, noticing this internal spaciousness, which is actually a very big part of sacred intimacy. The internal spaciousness that is who we are, that is our true nature, beyond all identities and personalities and opinions and ideas about who we are. Beyond all the self-definitions and comparisons. There is this inner spaciousness. Gently noticing your breath without trying to change anything. In this spaciousness, all sounds are included. All emotions or thoughts or feelings, all sensations are already included. We don't have to do anything to include them. Even our busy mind is included. So gently noticing the breath. Letting your body soften. If there is any tension in your body, you're noticing that without having to change it. If there's some pressure somewhere or pain, you're noticing that. Looking at these things with a compassionate awareness. Because if we know anything, the more we resist what's already here inside, the bigger it becomes. The more we resist, the more we suffer. That's for sure. So ultimately, the only option is to look at things, to be with them internally. Anything else causes suffering. The more you try to repress your anger, the more fully you are angry all the time. The more you deny your tears, the more depressed you become. The more you run away from your fears, the more numb you become. So the only good solution is to turn towards, is to look at things, is to be aware of things inside, so that they can come home. They can come home to our own being. And that's the home they're looking for. They're not looking for someone else to fix us, to save us. They're looking for us. These internal elements are always and only looking for our own compassionate presence. And there's nothing else that is more healing for whatever happens internally. Our own compassionate spaciousness. When other people support us, when other people love us, of course that's beautiful. But ultimately, that alone cannot save us, cannot heal us. We have to see our own being. We need to look at our own internal elements, including all the emotions, whatever trauma we carry, all of that. The wounded child in us. We all have this younger place in us that I call the wounded child, inner child. It's a psychological reality. It's an energetic reality. And this child in us feels younger. This child is younger than how old you are today. This is us as a child. And for as long as I'm not aware of the child in me, I cannot have a sacred, intimate relationship. It's impossible. Because the child in me only knows how to fight with life. The child in us only knows wounding and being out of control or feeling depressed or anxious all the time. The child in us alone is not capable of healthy relationship. Healthy relationship is the functioning of the adult that we are. And so we have to awaken the adult presence. If I am online as the adult Cenk, then I can take care of my own wounding. Then I'm not expecting my girlfriend to fix something in me. Then I'm not expecting, desperately waiting for her to make me feel better. I can be with myself. And only then, sacred intimacy becomes a possibility. And it's a big thing. It's a big deal. And it's not easy. Because for most of us, the child in us is a mystery. We don't know. It's hidden in our shadow. We are usually afraid of this place in us. We are ashamed of it. We don't want to talk about it. We feel uncomfortable about it. And so we leave this child in the dark. We never want to remember him or her. And sometimes by doing that, we make the child in us somebody else's problem. We hope desperately that someone is going to save me. And that creates codependent relationships, unhealthy dependency. And sometimes we can stay in relationships that are unfulfilling because we are afraid. We are afraid to leave. We are afraid to say something. We are afraid to express ourselves. That's also the child in us functioning. There's also one more spot here. There's one more here, if you want to sit here. Yeah, so sacred intimacy has a lot to do with our wounding. Because relationships, the closer they get, the more that they bring us, inside of us, what's unhealed. And in fact, they're supposed to do that. The gift of relationship is that everything I don't want to see in myself is going to come to the surface. That's actually a gift of relationship. Usually we don't want to receive that gift, we resist it because it's so painful. Yeah. So in this workshop, in this talk, I invite you to ask me questions, because we can never talk about everything that is to talk about love in 75 minutes. That's impossible. Love is a huge topic, massive, probably the biggest topic there is, love. It's like trying to talk about God in 75 minutes. It's impossible. So if anyone has questions about emotions, about relationships, about codependency, about sacred intimacy, you're welcome to ask. Yeah. So far about everything I've said, any questions or any comments? Okay. Do you have something? No? Okay. Yeah. So why I do this talk? This is maybe the 7th week that I'm doing this. I do this talk because when I was 21, I went through a very bad breakup, the end of my first relationship. And after the breakup, I got depressed for at least how long the relationship was. I was depressed after that. And in my depression, I was so sad about, just so disappointed, so angry, all the things. And this question came to me from the universe. What is love? So from something very deep inside, a question came that I just knew I had to find the answer. And the question was, what is love? Because I looked at what I experienced in those 6 months of that first relationship that didn't work. I looked at that and I saw, holy shit, this was not love. And so the question then came, then what is love? Well, I had to look at that very, very honestly, because it was breaking me all the way. That's the beauty of a breakup. Breakups have the power to break us, and they should, because we are meant to be broken open. We are meant to be open to life and not guarded. So we are meant to be broken open by life. That's the beauty of grief. That's the beauty of not getting what we want, even though it's so painful. When we don't get what we want, we have to say to life, you are the master and I am learning. We have to say, okay, I'm a student. We have to become humble, because otherwise we are always fighting. And the more we fight, the more life fights back. And nothing will ever work if we're always fighting, right? Because life does not respond to resistance. It responds to openness. Openness includes humility. Humility means I don't know. So I asked this question almost 20 years ago, what is love? And it's not like I know now. It's more like I am more and more forgetting everything about it. And that's the freedom. All my opinions I had about what love is or should be, it's like that's dissolving the conditioning about what love is, who I am as a man, how I should be, the conditioning of society. If anything is happening inside after 20 years, I am forgetting all that. So it's not like somehow I found an answer. It's that the question is disappearing. And when question is disappearing, that means we are no longer living here. We are no longer trying to analyze and understand life through the mind. So what's starting in my life is a full-bodied living instead of living here, just like most men do. When we live in the body, we have a knowing that is deeper than the intellect. It's much deeper than, okay, what is love? Give me 2 books, I'm gonna read it. And somehow I'm gonna think that I know something, like a scientist. But life doesn't work that way. Life is not about being an academic of love. It's about feeling it, right? So here, I hope that you don't learn anything today, but you leave here with feeling something. I hope that intellectually, you leave with less. Like you lose something intellectually. Because this is to be felt. It is to be known in the soul, in the heart. It's not about concepts. It's not about having better answers to more clever questions. So in that sense, it's not so much about philosophy. It's not about learning something with the mind. Yeah. So any questions or comments so far? Yeah, and I often forget about what I say, by the way, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, you set up the question, so what do you consider love to be now?
I don't have any answers for it. It's like asking what is love. It's like asking what is God or what is life. The mind goes blank, and it's supposed to, because it has nothing to do with the mind. I'd rather not write a book about love. I'd rather know how it feels, for example.
So you were to convey in words.
Uh-huh. I don't think it can be conveyed. We can talk around it. Yeah. But the fact that it cannot be conveyed is the most important thing you can get from this. That's why I keep on repeating it. It cannot be conveyed. It has nothing to do with the mind. Sacred intimacy is literally beyond the mind. Because mind is conditioning. Mind is society. Mind is that same garbage. Right? Mind is fear-based, conditioned living. That's all mind is. In its healthy functioning, mind tells me how many eggs I need for my recipe. That's all. In its healthy functioning, my mind helps me do my finances at the end of the month. That's all. It has nothing to do, nothing to give to things that are existential or spiritual. All that the best thing that the mind can go is, I don't know. So when the mind is very mature, it becomes aware of its own limitation. And then it just falls quiet in big questions. You know, mind is profoundly powerful when we're trying to build this building. Architecture, math, physics. For that, mind is perfect. For very practical things. Outside of that, it's an obstacle. Because it always thinks that it has to know something. It's always looking for definitions. Oh, explain this to me, explain that, so that I can put it in my pocket and think that I got something. But how can I put love, or how can I put God into a sentence and think that somehow I know something now? It becomes more garbage that we need to discard later. Yeah. Would you like to say something? Yeah. No, I'm just seeing that you like what I'm saying.
I relate to the story. I've been through also some breakups.
Yeah.
The mind is a tool to cut reality into defined parts.
Yeah, right.
Which take away the wholeness of it.
Exactly, the wholeness of it. Yeah, the mind loves to kind of dissect. Yeah, dissect and put it into manageable parts so that I can control it. But life is not to be controlled. That's what I've been learning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have much control. And that's the big joke. We are not in control, never been. Yeah, and that can bring up a lot of fear. Because then, where am I going? What do I do? How can I keep myself safe and the people I love? Right, and that's the functioning of fear. Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
So how you can find detachment?
How we can find what?
Detachment.
Detachment from?
From someone. From love. I mean, not from love.
Let's say
from someone.
If a breakup happens, then,
yeah.
if a breakup happens, we grieve.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. We grieve. And through that, we move forward. Yeah, because grief takes away what's old and opens new space for what's to come. That's all, we grieve. Again, it doesn't have much to do with the mind. It has much to do with emotion. Yeah, and grief is profound. Incredibly profound emotion. To me, I see grief as the most spiritual emotion. The most spiritual. Because it's the bridge between me and unconditional love. Because grief opens the heart. From the separate I that feels so afraid of everything to life itself, the bridge is grief. The more we cry, the softer we become. The softer we become, the more we are open-hearted. Yeah, because we all have a lot of armoring around us. And the armoring around the heart keeps us lonely. keeps us separated. Even when we have a lot of people, we feel separate. That's because energetically we have a lot of armoring. And so a lot of that armoring is also fear. So the more that the fear and the shame and the guilt soften, the more the deeper pain comes to the surface. This is about healing. This is what's been happening to me through healing.
Okay, but what happens if it's the contrary? You know, like maybe with grieving, you just build your armor.
But that's impossible.
Why?
Well, if you are collapsing into it, like if you're continuously, oh my God, like victim kind of sadness, but the victim sadness is like, oh, poor me, all this happens to me. But true grief is a completely transformative experience. I'm talking about someone who's deeply, deeply grieving. Yeah, it cracks open the shell of the heart completely. But this grief is a rare experience. Not many people feel empowered enough to even go there. It takes a lot of inner awareness and healing to finally open to the deepest pain. The deepest pain is the pain of separation. The fact that I feel separate from life is the deepest pain. And when that is accessed, the heart begins to break open. That's the deeper grief I'm talking about. And sometimes when a breakup happens in real life, right, a relationship ending, then it is possible that that pain, that grief will take us to the core wound of separation. It's possible. It usually happens. But for that, we need to allow ourselves to be softened that much. And it can feel like we're dying. A lot of people actually feel like after a breakup from the sadness that they're dying. Yes, something is dying. Yeah. So, yeah, grief is profound. And I think indigenous societies, they understood grief much more than us. And they had rituals around grief, ceremonies around grief. In our modern world, we have lost completely the wisdom of grief. Just like we've lost the wisdom of so many things. Like resting. We don't know the wisdom of resting anymore. We can't rest. We are so agitated all the time. Just leisure, just not doing anything, just letting the mind go. Right? We've lost a lot of wisdom in modern world. Yeah, that's why I love doing things like these, because this is when, in modern life, this is where we come together to talk about things that really matter. Just like in the past, it was the church. Just like in the past, it was around the fire. This is like that. Community, talking about what matters. And this talk about sacred intimacy is really about love. And to me, love is the only thing there is. Nothing else is there. I think that no matter what we say, a few weeks ago, I said something like, we are always talking about love. No matter what we do, no matter what we say, we are always talking. There's only one conversation in our lives. No matter what we're doing, no matter who we are or what we are talking about, it's always about love. Either we are expressing our love to someone, in some ways, even with a behavior we say, I love you, or we are asking about love, going towards love and wanting to receive it. There's nothing happening ever. Even the CEO, so desperately trying to make the company better, is looking for the acceptance and love from everybody around him. Always. No matter what we're doing, it's only about love. So to me, this is the only conversation that really matters for the future of humanity. Yeah. Because we are looking for that. We are always looking for love. Even when we think we have to prove ourselves to our romantic partner, it's because we want more love from them. We don't want them to leave. We don't want to be abandoned. We don't want them to reject us. That's why we're trying to give, we're trying to do something. So it's a huge topic, right? Massive. And this talk, this share is called Sacred Intimacy. So we're not talking just about any kind of romantic relationship. We are exploring together what a sacred relationship could look like, could be like. We don't see many of them in society, so don't think about anything you've read or anything you've seen. That's the love of Hollywood is not this. This is not that. So there is a need for deconditioning ourselves. We need to. That's what's been happening to me in 20 years. I've been forgetting and more forgetting and forgetting and forgetting. Forgetting the bullshit that I was fed from society, from culture. Forgetting everything that I witnessed as a child with the adults that didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So forgetting all that means deconditioning ourselves. When we go deconditioned, we no longer know what love is. And finally, we are ready to feel it instead of trying to understand it. And we are more open to life's love of itself. It's not like my love anymore that I'm trying to give to someone. Okay, I gave 10%, I have 90% left. Like a Mario game or some kind of accumulation thing. But when we drop into the heart, really drop in, we start to feel the love of life for itself. And life is always in love with itself continuously. We could even say at a spiritual place, there is only love happening. This camera is love, this is love, that's love. Everything, everywhere we look, we can feel and see love. Love is the fabric of the universe. Yeah. Every atom vibrating. It's all love, vibrating, vibrating. Creation is love. Yeah. So there's something sacred about all this, right? Love between two people can show them something about what love is in a bigger way. It's not only personal love, just because I'm attracted to someone. It's a love that comes from life that I get to share. And if my partner is doing the same thing, what a beautiful relationship. And then we can talk about something sacred. When we are no longer keeping score, who gave what, or so much like, right? Everything equal or whatever. Yeah. So if we're no longer functioning so much from fear, maybe a sacredness is possible. But it's up to each one of you to decide what is sacred for you. I cannot give that answer as either. So now we're going to do a practice about what is sacred for you and how could that look like for you in this moment in romantic relationship. So find a partner and you'll be facing your partner completely. Each person will have 4 minutes to share. So again, the question is, what is sacred for you and how could that look like in a romantic relationship? All right, find a partner, face them completely. Okay. Yeah. So, what is sacredness for you, and how can that look like, right, in a relationship? These are two big questions, right? They're connected. They're two big questions, and your answer might be different today. Tomorrow might be different. 6 years from now might be different. And I hope that we are always deepening in our lives so that our answers also keep changing. I can't even I've had so many versions of me already. I'm not even 40 years old, but I've been dying continuously inside and giving birth to a new kind of consciousness or awareness or whatever it is. So if anyone would like to share what is sacredness for you today, what came up, and how it could look like in a relationship, you don't have to answer both, you can do whatever. So yeah, if anyone would like to share something, go ahead. Yeah.
So I think the freedom part in sacredness is very important, because if you're free, you can voluntarily give, which is, I think, a very huge part in helping someone, is to give them.
To give.
Yeah, also to yourself, of course, also to anything in that.
Yeah. And if both people are more interested in giving, automatically the other one receives, right? So problem solved. Yeah, no.
You have to be open to receive.
Open to receive, of course. Yeah.
But I think yes, the freedom is very important for volunteering, because if you force yourself to love someone, there's no good end to it.
No. Yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah. So why do we force ourselves to love someone? Sometimes.
Is it important to know that? Isn't it more interesting to go how to be free to give?
Yeah.
But to answer your question, maybe because we think we have to be in a certain way and let the pressure of the peers or the culture come
Yeah.
to us.
Mhm.
And in some space, we need to be with ourselves in our life. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
This,
And we need to be okay with upsetting people, right? Yeah, we might have some certain decisions in life that other people will not enjoy so much. But it's part of becoming mature to be okay with the fact that we might disappoint them by being who we are.
which makes us actually more likable.
More likable to the right people. Some people will hate us. Well, Jesus was crucified, right?
Because we show them where they.
Jesus, the Son of God, was fucking crucified.
Sorry,
Right?
sorry,
So
I-
there is no pleasing people. That's absolutely impossible to please people. Absolutely impossible. We can only be ourselves. That's it. And hopefully we do that as lovingly as possible. But the rest, it's not my problem. People will have their own fucking reactions to the way that I am. And they can suffer for those reactions. That's their suffering. I don't care. If I'm myself maturely, lovingly, then oh, that's all I can do. The rest is them. If they're going to suffer, they can. I don't have to try to save that. We can allow people their own suffering. That's part of our freedom. Yes? We can allow them their own suffering. We are not here to save people. We are here to live our lives as more beautifully as possible. That's all. Yeah. Anyone else who would like to share the sacredness or how it can look like in a relationship? Yeah, thanks for that. Freedom. Yeah.
I think that part that you said about allowing each other to suffer is very important. Because
Yes.
some people believe that relationship would heal them and they will be in perfect condition, and that's not true.
Yeah.
And I was in a relationship while I was still struggling with depression,
Yeah.
and sometimes it would hit me so hard that I couldn't even get out of bed.
Yeah.
And then my partner would get mad at me because I just wasn't simply better for like receiving attention.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I mean, I get it, you're here, but like, I'm going through it. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to do anything with you. Like, I just
Yes.
feel like I don't want to live. And then someone, feels like it's personal. Or when I didn't want to have sex with someone because I was so depressed that I couldn't even feel my body.
Yeah.
And then they would be pressuring me how I don't like them anymore, how I'm cheating on them. I think it's very important to understand that people still go through processes, still have something from before, from childhood, from work or something, and not to
Yeah.
be like so obsessed with like being someone's whole world and expect someone to magically be in perfect condition just because they're in relationship. Like, I'm so glad my best friend told me that he is like happy in his relationship, but
Yeah.
still sometimes he's struggling with drugs, sometimes he's struggling with a lot of things that he was struggling with before relationship, that we were both struggling with, and that he's happy that finally he's with someone who can understand that when he has a bad day, it's because he has a bad day.
Yes, and the partner can be supportive.
Yeah, I think that's very important because some
Yeah.
people think that other person will magically heal you just because they like you or love you or whatever. But sometimes people are just smothering you with their attention and nothing else. Like, we have to have our own space to grieve something.
Exactly. And we have to have our own space, especially internal space.
Yeah.
In our psychology, we need to feel we are sovereign. We are a sovereign individual,
Yeah,
empowered. Right? Yeah.
because that makes us human. Like, we cannot all be
Yes. And I
good and amazing.
Yeah, and I think sacred intimacy has nothing to do with perfection. Yeah, I think sacred intimacy is possible only when we are no longer trying to be perfect ourselves or expecting that from the other person, because it has nothing to do with perfection. Nothing. It has more to do with humility, maybe, or love. Being able to say, I'm sorry, I hurt you, things like that. Or commitment to our own healing so that we are healed. But it has nothing to do with perfection. I ask people all the time, what is perfection? No one has an answer. Perfection is the experience of the fact that I'm not there. Right? Perfection is the experience of the suffering that I'm not there. Where that is, nobody knows. Nobody knows where that line is, what we call perfection. But it's the experience of the fact that I'm not enough. No one has ever found perfection because it doesn't exist. It never did.
So that would be perfection.
Death?
Yes.
I don't know.
Because then you.
I'll know when I get there.
Yeah, okay. So you know.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see how perfect it is. Yeah. 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 So sacred intimacy is possible when we are no longer comparing, because it's beyond the comparing mind. Sacred intimacy, the love of sacred intimacy, is beyond the comparing mind. I am not comparing myself anymore with shame, with guilt. Who's better than me? Who I'm better than? Or my partner, or me with my partner. So when comparison ends in terms of self-worth and who we are, what we deserve, when we are beautiful just for existing, then sacred intimacy can be possible. For as long as I'm trying to prove something to myself and others, it's not possible. We might still have a relationship, yeah, but I wouldn't call that sacred. In sacred intimacy, the way I see it, is beyond a fear-based living. Fear can still be a part of us, because we are human beings, we will always have moments of fear. But when fear is no longer such a huge part of our lives, or shame, or self-blame, guilt, then sacred intimacy is possible. Because then our heart is less guarded, and we are able to give and receive more fully. Because if I hold a lot of shame, I'm a piece of shit, I'm not man enough, I'm a loser, even a saintly woman is trying to love me, I can't allow it. Even if the love is profoundly strong, I can't allow it because of my own shame. So the relationship is stuck because my heart is not open to myself, let alone opening to her. The heart is not even open internally because of all the shame I have. So that means inevitably, if I want to receive love, I need to see that I am lovable. And usually the guilt and shame and all the conditioning from society we have, or sometimes fear of intimacy, fear of vulnerability, all that becomes a barrier. Even love wants to come, I can't let it in because of all that closed up. Well, this area is closed. Does that make sense? Yeah, so healing to me is about learning to open up this area right here. Yeah, so that I can receive more. I can receive, I can give, and there's a flow. And then we are experiencing interdependence, not codependence, this thing like, I'm nothing without you, I'll die without you, please don't leave me, not that. And also not the other extreme, which I call modern love. Modern love is like all about space. Oh, me and my space, and give me my space, and everybody's talking about space. That's like, right?
That's
Is
really
it?
That's not laughing, that's literally.
Yeah.
I just leave you alone. Be in my space, and then I go and stare at the wall for 1 hour, and I'm
Okay.
just in my space.
Yeah. You're fully enjoying that,
I'm
your
fully
space.
in that wall.
I don't even have to do anything. I just have my space.
Because sometimes, like, you just need to be on your own to, like, feel your own energy.
Yes.
Because sometimes, like, even when
And
you
I
like
would call
someone,
that healthy space, by the way. I would call that healthy space.
Exactly.
But-
I think we need that.
Yes, but I'm also making fun of the more extreme types of this kind of thing.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, because so a lot of relationships are codependent, okay?
Yeah.
Because they are codependent, they continue. They continue even though it's shit, but they continue. Some relationships, this modern love, they continue because I take my space. A very different dynamic than codependency. Because I have my life and everything, my hobbies and my, there's so much me, and then there's so much of the person, Jennifer. There's so much of Jennifer. There's so much of Cenk. And we are so like, no, I don't want that. Okay, then you do it alone. There is so much of this, and only because of that, the relationship continues. But so in the codependency, what's missing is healthy space. What's missing is healthy individuality, because we lose ourselves in the relationship. We don't do our hobbies anymore. I gave up my friends. I'm always with them. all that, right? Sacrifice, bullshit. And then, so that's this. But the other one is, I have so much of me, and she has so much of herself. We don't have much common. Like, we don't have much intimacy. We don't have much heart-to-heart depth and vulnerability. This relationship can also continue for as long as no one wants more. But the moment someone says, I want more love, woo, there's a problem. Just like in codependency, the moment someone says, I need space, this relationship cannot continue. Because space doesn't exist here. We are like, in very unhealthy way, we are like a soup. A homogeneous soup. I forgot myself. Am I the potato in here? Am I the pea? What? We are completely enmeshed, right, in codependency. But there's also this co-independency. The relationship continues only because we are both so fucking independent. The moment someone says, I want more, that relationship can no longer continue. It has to evolve into something more beautiful. It has to keep the healthy space and then bring intimacy from that healthy space. We need to bring intimacy. So sacred intimacy is not a balance of these two. Some people then say, oh, well, when we have balance, then say that's sacred intimacy. No, it's not a balance. It's not a compromise about being between these two. Sacred intimacy is completely beyond these two paradigms. So in codependent relationship, I've had a few of those in my life. I can proudly say that. I know what it is. I know what codependency is. I know what it feels like. I know a lot about it. In codependency, if I'm sexually attracted to another woman, can I talk about that with my partner? No, right? Everybody knows. Can I have a no together? No. Okay, amazing. But as contrasting this to the other one, we have so much space, modern love. Can I bring another partner into the relationship? Polyamory, right? Because there is so much me. Well, I want it. And at that stage of maturity, we don't lie about it, which is the beautiful thing. In codependency, there can be affair and cheating. We're going to lie about it. Because if I'm honest, I'll lose the partner. It's very clear. I'm going to lose this person if I'm honest about that. Here, there's so much space. We can talk about it. That's the beauty of this one. They both have strengths and weaknesses. But we need to acknowledge them for what they are. In this one, it's modern love. It can be talked about. Hey, what do you think about polyamory? Let's watch a YouTube video about it. There's a workshop about it. Should we go? It's usually the man. It's usually the man that says, hey, I heard about this thing. Like, here's a book about it, whatever. What is the book, the very famous book about polyamory? Anyway, there's so many these days. So you guys see there are different agreements in each type of relationship. We know what we can talk about, what we cannot talk about. But to me, the way I see sacred intimacy is completely beyond all this. Because these two are still fear-based. In this one, I'm so afraid of my loneliness, I cling to my partner. I don't want to. I suffocate my partner, right? I suffocate myself. In this one, I'm so scared of losing the partner, right? So that's why I'm holding so tight. In this one, we are usually afraid of deeper intimacy because we are afraid that we're going to become codependent. Because we don't want to be codependent, we have gone to the other extreme. We're like, we don't want to kind of give in any way. No, this is what I want. And then we are guarded. In this, we don't have healthy boundaries. We don't even say no. In here, maybe our no is a bit more too rigid. Maybe we need to learn how to say yes a little more, to let each other in more. We have too much distance. So these are both fear-based relationships. And in my understanding, sacred intimacy, in a lot of ways, is actually on the other side of a fear-based life. When we are no longer functioning from fear, sacred intimacy becomes possible. Yeah.
Is it the codependency relationship? I feel sometimes it gets super muddy and confusing because I feel like if you're partnered up with a really good partner, that shows a lot of loving qualities.
Yeah.
And you've seen, say, in the year, 2 years that you've been with that person, that you yourself have grown because they have made you better,
Yeah.
and likewise. So you think, oh, this is an amazing relationship. But then at the core, you still feel perhaps like, was saying, that you might be losing yourself in the relationship. Although you have seen where you've come from, right?
Yes.
You're like, well, I'm a better person because of that person.
Mm. Because the support is there. There is usually a very strong friendship, by the way. Yeah, but over time, the attraction goes down, and the friendship can still be deepening. That's why usually when a codependent relationship ends, it's extremely painful, because we feel like we lost our best friend, like in a very deep way, because we also isolated ourselves from the rest of life and stayed there. So it's like it can feel like we've lost everything, like really, yeah. Or there's another scenario where the relationship can deepen and can become very healthy. A codependent relationship with a lot of work, with consciously working on ourselves, with guides and therapists, whatever, healing work, can become sacred intimacy, right? A breakup is not needed, but both people need to be really committed for that. Just like the co-independent can become sacred intimacy if both people want that, right? Yeah. So a breakup is not inevitable, but a transformation of the relationship can happen. That would be the best case scenario. Healing together, healing in love. Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up question, especially
Yeah.
for men?
Yeah.
Commitment, right? Where you're like, well, I'm gonna build a family with this person, and I'll be with them for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's scary.
When you have temptations, is that a
Temptations meaning you want to have sex with other people, or as men.
Not necessarily physically, as in like, what if there's more than this? Because every relationship that I've had before in the past, it's like, wow, this is the best relationship I've had, and then I like after I more free from that breakup, then I go on to the next one, and it's even more amazing and more amazing. So then the question is,
what if there is more?
What if there's more?
So I think, it's important when you work with someone, they can help you see where that question comes from. If the question comes from a fear of commitment, from the wounded child in us, maybe it's a trauma fear, then you do the healing. And when you do the healing, then that question might dissolve and disappear. And then you commit more deeply to your current partner. If the question comes from your soul, from who you truly are, from your heart, very deep, that might simply mean that that's not the relationship for you. And then you move on. However difficult that might be, we need to accept our own truth. If I'm more often than not questioning this relationship, it might simply be that it doesn't fulfill me. It might not be a very good fit. Even though the love is there, the friendship is there. Yeah. And then we continue our lives, right?
I think temptations are really good. I had a lot of that in the relationship. It wasn't like purely sexual. It's just that at some point I was working on TV shows, and of course I was with very famous people that were wanted by everyone, and I was wanted by them. So it's different. Honestly, it's different kind of feeling. And I mean, I never cheated, but I caught myself thinking about it. But then I realized one really important thing, that in that period of life, I was like working like crazy, and like I didn't look my best, honestly. I looked like very overworked, very tired. We were filming for 16 hours, so it definitely wasn't how I looked. It was something else. And then I realized I didn't get this much attention when I was younger and better looking, and now I do. And it's not just because I'm on like TV show. I was like, it's because I'm in love and somebody's giving me full attention and compliments every day, and I feel good about myself. And these people want to take that. They don't want to give, they want to take. So I had like breaking point. I broke up my relationship. I was like, it's easier to be on pause and see what I'm gonna do now. I didn't want to feel guilty. And then when I broke up, I was like, I don't want anyone. I don't want to do it. I just felt that loss. And then I realized the temptation was only there to see if I'm just gonna throw away what I have for someone who wants to just take from me. Because sometimes we forget that the attention is always there. Like you always
Yes.
get some sort of attention.
And sometimes the part of us that is hungry for the attention is the one that child in us.
Exactly. And then I was like, yeah, of course you were ignored as a child and now you're like golden and everybody is looking at you.
Yeah.
And then after that, when I went back into a relationship, I didn't even think about it. Like, not even think about it. It was just like a test. And then when I broke up, like finally after a while, after everything, I met a lot of those people again, and they didn't give me the same amount of attention. And I was like, yeah, I'm not glowing anymore. I look better. I had that physical glow up, red hair. I was working out. I looked my best, but I felt lost. And then nobody was really there except for fake friends standing in line. But then I realized like temptation is not really anything. It's just like testing you, how you feel about what you have, not that other person, like what you have already.
Yeah, great, thanks. Any other? Yeah.
Question is related to that.
Okay.
For some people, like me especially, I find the glow up is always on one finger, and then in a relationship, there's just not really growth.
There's no growth?
That's fast. And the wanted to be like
Yeah.
and so every time I come in a relationship, I find I'm more spiritual, I'm more in tune with myself. So,
yes. I think at one point we learn to not change. Whether or not we're single or in a relationship, our life remains more or less the same. You know, if I'm really committed to my healing, I'm committed to that if I'm partnered or if I'm single. Doesn't matter, for example. Right? The more we get established in who we are and have a life that is sturdy and strong and rooted and grounded, then we stay who we are. And then the relationship, when it brings things up, because it always does, the relationship will bring everything up. Then you already have mentors and teachers around you. You already know the therapist ready for the healing. You already know. You already have a system in place. Right? And then you can immediately start working on that. Turning the shit into compost. Because it's very important in the relationship.
but it's hard to know because there's always someone, I guess,
It's hard to know what?
When I don't feel people, it's going to be harder to listen to yourself and tell yourself what's the time.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's always like, not all the time, most of the time. You have a voice like if somebody else's ideas will take you in,
Whose ideas?
like your partner.
Okay, yeah.
So especially if maybe somebody you respect, you're going to take an impression.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah, so this is about healthy boundaries. Like, what is my voice? What is my wisdom? And what is their thing that they're telling me? And I can stay connected with mine. For example, these days, it's not very easy for people to change what I think because I've spent a lot of time, hard-earned wisdom. So that means when someone says something to me, that has to go through my own filters. Because I have them. They're there for a reason. That has to go from my own filters for me to kind of, okay, I believe it now. Right?
Yeah.
So we need to have our own filters. That's our discernment. That's our wisdom. Yeah. So what happens is that because I've been doing my own healing for such a long time, when we heal, the trauma, the suffering turns into wisdom. That's what happens. That's the outcome of healing. It turns into being more grounded. It turns into being more sturdy. Yeah. And so when life comes, there is deeper roots, like a healthy tree. We don't get knocked off so easily, right? When a storm comes. And I think we all need to be working on that. And better to work on that when everything's going really well. Yeah. Because shit will hit the fan soon, right? That's life. That's always what happens. Yeah, so that when you go and get into a relationship, you can still stay sturdy, stay grounded, stay rooted. It's so important. I think when we are single, we got to establish ourselves and then continue when we are in a relationship, not stop our practices, our learning, our growth, our healing. We should never stop. That's what I think. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
So I have a comment. So
Yeah.
I've been in a relationship for 25 years. And maybe in the last 5 years, I've really went through a spiritual awakening. But my partner has not.
Yeah.
It gets interesting because I want to still be able to support her. But it's almost like if I'm vibrating here and she's here, it's like I have to constantly drop in just to make sure that we're in alignment. But I don't always want to drop in.
How would it be if you don't drop at all?
How would it be?
Yeah, but if
I don't know.
but if yeah, so if you don't drop at all, then you have a capacity here. In fact, when you drop, you lower your capacity for love, for understanding, for respect. So stay here, because every time you do this, you betray yourself. Right? You'll lose something. You'll lose you. So stay here and love her. That's all. Nothing more. Yeah, how would it be to love her? Stay where you are. Yeah, and in that moment, love might look like, okay, honey, I'll let you be. See you in 2 hours, if she's doing her process. Or, is there anything you'd like from me? I'll help you. Yeah? Or, would you like me to hold you? Maybe she's crying, whatever. Or, how about I make breakfast this morning? Because you have the capacity. So keep loving. Yeah. If the gap is too much, it doesn't work. Then the understanding is, okay, maybe we're not compatible. But if the gap is not too much, then there's a possibility to continue and continue to deepen the love. Yeah, you can take it up as a challenge. Maybe it brings you to your edge of frustration, then frustration becomes your teacher. You are the student of frustration now, or impatience, or whatever. But don't lower yourself. That will not help the relationship. Actually, it's a betrayal of the relationship. The relationship needs you to be where you are. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah. Anything more specific you'd like to ask about? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe can I say also something? I think maybe nurturing is, I think it's a very important part. Like you said already, like if we need to have our practice all the time with ourselves to be like fully loving, right? So maybe you can also show her how to nurture herself, so she can also rise a bit more.
And the crazy thing is the work that I do. I'm all day long, I'm constantly loving people. And then I come home and she's like, oh. and she's like, well, how can you love everybody else and you come home and it's not the same?
If there's nothing left for her, that's something you got to look at in yourself.
I think there is. I think that I'm open to loving her, but I think what she does is she comes back.
Okay.
She doesn't want to give the same love. And then when I'm around other people, they're accepting of the love. They're wanting the love. So it's easy to give and it's easy to receive.
Yes.
But if she's afraid of it,
is she
it's like I didn't notice this.
Is she doing any work on herself?
No.
Not at all? Is she completely closed to do any work?
She just hasn't got there yet.
She's not there yet. Okay. What is there? What is there? I don't know either. But you can say to her, we're always here, honey. But well, how about, here's a bridge, right? Potential. Find a book about relationships, about love, about the unguarded heart, whatever it might be, whatever you resonate with, and say to her, let's read this together. Just start the conversation somewhere. Make sense? Yeah. Could be a nice bridge. At least the conversation remains open, right? Maybe she's ready to read a book together. Yeah. And then a few months later, she might be ready for a couple session, maybe with someone. Yeah. So step by step. But it's not an easy place to be, what you're describing. the gap is not easy to navigate. How long have you guys been together?
25 years.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. All right, we're going to do another partner practice. This time, find a different partner. And the question will be, what has been the most beautiful thing that you heard here, you shared, you heard from somebody else, from me? What are you leaving this space with? Okay, so what are you taking away from this time we've had together? Find